Epic Jiyan will pierce your enemies, and today I'm gonna tell you how to build him best. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. So what echoes does our awesome army general desire? None other than 5P Sierra Gale. Naturally, as he's an aero DPS, this is gonna be your best bet on him. He gains a valuable damage percent increase to all of his aero attacks from the 2-piece, while landing an even greater buff with the 5-piece. Certainly still his best bet, farm it for sure. You can also consider 5-piece Lingering Tunes if you happen to have some very strong pieces of it lying around. While there's no arrow-specific buffs within it, you can enjoy plenty of attack percent from both a 2-piece and full set effect. The outro skill damage increase is a pretty cool bonus on top of all that. 2-piece mix and match sets include 2-piece arrow percent and attack percent. As for Jiyan's main stats, simple, go for this. This'll be the dude's most standard setup, a fairly regular distribution of main stats. However, if you have much better attack percent 3 costs, you can use those instead. A 2% difference isn't really going to be that big of a deal. Using 2 attack percent 3 costs is going to be weaker compared to having at least 1 arrow 3 cost, but it's still nothing earth-shatteringly bad, only roughly 6% worse, so go for whatever has the best stats. Speaking of which, when it comes to Jiyan stat goals, simple. Go for 1.9k attack on a 4-star weapon, 2.2k attack on a 5-star weapon, and either 110% ER for double intro Jiyan, or 135% for single intro. And as for his crit, 65% to 220%, not including his weapon. These are all very reasonable stats to achieve, with perhaps 1 to 2 weeks of farming. Your Jiyan will be ready to take on most endgame content once he's reached these stat levels. As for his main animal, you're gonna want to use the big monkey on him. Fairly straightforward when it comes to analyzing why this is good on him. 12% arrow bonus and 12% heavy damage bonus. There's no reason to pick any other animal. Jiyan's echoes are fairly straightforward, as we don't have an abundance of echoes in the game as of now. Pick whatever has the best stats for you and aim for a 5P Sierra set if you can. Naturally, a man who fights in the army is gonna want to be equipped with a good weapon. So let's talk about Jiyan's most optimal choices. As you'd expect, Verdant Summit is his absolute best in slot weapon pick. It's a signature weapon that was tailor-made for him. He gets a ton of crit damage from it, plus some damage bonus which is universally applied throughout his entire kit, and he also gains an increase to his heavy attack damage bonus. Obviously the lad's best in slot choice. Otherwise, if you're free to play, have no fear, because the all-powerful free 5-star weapon Lustrous Razor is here, and if you didn't choose it from your free weapon box, then you can select it as your target weapon on standard. You get a ton of helpful things from this choice. Lots of attack percent, energy regen so you can cast his ult more, and some increased ult damage which is stackable. A great alternative pick for sure. Waning Redshift was also recently free, and it gives you attack percent and resonance energy. It won't be as good as Lustrous Razor, but it's definitely still a very viable free-to-play option. Helios Cleaver is a good gotcha option which gives your Jiyan a buttload of attack percent. It's pretty much as simple as that. Autumn Trace has the fantastic benefit of offering crit rate instead of only attack percent, yet it's a paid BP choice. Excellent if you own it, yet don't feel pressured to purchase it if you're not already a regular BP customer. The other picks will also serve your general excellently. Ageless Harvest works too. It provides Jiyan with a lot of decent stats, but if you own this, it's probably on your Jinchi. I'd rather pull for his own signature instead of chasing the Magistrate, since his own is better for him by a pretty significant margin. As you'd expect, all of the 5-star choices are way better than the 4-star ones. Wuthering Wave's 4-star weapons kinda sucking moment. Even so, all choices mentioned will absolutely get your Jiyan clearing the Tower of Adversity. Now, here's the funny thing. Jiyan only really has one main team core, most likely thanks to the fact that the game is in its 1.x patches, so we haven't really had the opportunity to expound upon his options much. The core is simple: Jiyan, Mortefi, and then a third sustain slot. There genuinely isn't going to be a better choice than Mortefi here. It feels like the guy was designed with Jiyan in mind, considering how buttery smooth their synergy is. Vlad provides him with plenty of heavy attack damage bonus, which is what the army general thrives on. There is literally no better damage bonus that you can give a dude. Mortefi also contributes a pretty good portion of his own damage, especially if you've collected a few of his sequences. Sure, Jiyan's DPS will remain as the main meat of your comp's overall damage share, yet it's still a significant enough portion to the point where he will help you clear more effectively. His ability to hold items of team-wide support continue to flesh him out as Jiyan's best in slot support. For example, relic sets such as Moonlit Clouds and weapons such as Static Mist. Because of this, Mortefi is literally the perfect second teammate for Jiyan. No need to consider other options. Even if he's only S0, the guy will still make your Dragon General cook incredibly hard. Your third slot can be pretty much any generic buffer or healer, it doesn't matter who it is. Generally speaking, Shorekeeper and Verena are going to be your best bets, but that's pretty much a given. The main example teams for the guy would be Jiyan, Mortefi, Shorekeeper, Dragon Dude, Annoyance, Plant Kid. You get the gist. Yet how does our intimidating general work? Well, his basics deal 5 regular arrow strikes, nothing much to see here. Jiyan's skill will have him do a simple dash strike on the enemy, dealing arrow damage. Fairly simple kit to understand so far. His ult is where things really start to shake up. He'll enter the Qinglong mode, where he summons a big dragon that swirls around him when he attacks. This dragon is fantastic at grouping smaller enemies and tornadoing them around Jiyan. He gains some interruption res, and his basics are replaced with alt heavies. His intro skill has him strike enemies with arrow damage. It's also possible to sacrifice one of your character's other intro skills to use Jiyan's twice. This is good because intro skills generate a lot of energy, which Jiyan can use to lower his ER requirements by a lot. His outro skill will cause Qinglong, his dragon, to deal coordinated attacks with the next party member when they deal a heavy attack. Great stuff. His Forte circuit will have his skill be stronger if he can consume 30 resolve stacks. But when he enters his ult, he will unconditionally have access to this damage boost. If he has 30 resolve when he casts his ult, he'll cast the finale form. You can get resolve stacks from either doing normal attacks of Jiyan or through his intro skill. He can have up to 60 at a time. As for his inherent skills, simple. The dude's A1 offers him a 10% attack buff after he casts his intro skill for 15 seconds. This pairs nicely with Sierra Gale, which buffs arrow damage for 15 seconds after using an intro. So make sure that you're ready to ult on Jiyan whenever you swap into him and he does an intro skill. His A4 is pretty nutty as he literally gives himself a crit damage increase when he hits enemies. Yes, that is literally all there is to it. No conditions whatsoever. Wild. As for Jiyan's Forte priority, simple. Go for this. His ult is the main meat of his kit, plus all of his heavy attacks scale off of his ult scalings, so level it up first. It's the main star of the show. His Forte circuit is highly important too, so don't miss out on leveling it up. You can be a little more relaxed when it comes to leveling his skill, but it's still a decent source of damage in his kit, so don't ignore it. His basics and intro skill are useless to level, so you can brush them off. I can see why you'd want multiple copies of this dude. I mean, just look at him. So let's talk sequences. This S1 is very useful for the guy. Another skill cast during his ult equals more heavies on the whole. A net positive. The decreasing of his resolve stack requirement is also a major plus. Great S1. Ridiculous S2. You can ult straight away once you swap onto the guy, as you'll have all the resolve you could ever want. Attack percent is also super high value in wuwa, so the buff of that is wild for the dude. He has some fantastic early sequences in his kit. I'm genuinely shocked by how good these sequences are. A frick ton of crit. What else is there to say other than that's awesome? Jiyan can attack faster if his attacks are heavies, so a neat S4. Getting more heavies in is an obvious plus. A ton of attack percent, plus his outro skill gets beefed up to the high heavens. Naturally, a very good sequence for the dude. The guy was already a wild DPS before, but now, yep, your enemies are officially cooked for life. They are not making it out alive with Jiyan's ult scalings being beefed up that high. A fantastic line of sequences. However, because 4-star weapons in wuwa are kinda cheeks, and because those other 5-star options still don't really compare to a SIG, I'd pick up Verdant Summit first before anything else. From there, get literally any amount of sequences that you're comfortable with because they're all insane. Jiyan is still a fantastic DPS, even to this day. He's one of the more straightforward wuwa units thanks to how he's essentially just heavy attack spam, then you're done. I have nothing but good words to say about this unit. If you need a DPS who can wipe the floor of AoE, then this guy's the way to go. He also happens to be one of my personal favorite wuwa characters. His design is absolutely excellent, and the only other 5-star who I feel like can compete with him in terms of how quality their design is would be Chang Li, but I like dudes more by nature, so Jiyan takes the cake for me, personally speaking at least. I expect him to be the best AoE DPS for a while longer. The game is new, so we don't know if we're gonna go with the more relaxed route of power creep like in Genshin, or go for the new best unit in the game every patch style like Honkai Star Rail. Personally, I'm kinda hoping that every wuwa unit has at least a year to be the best at what they do before they get power crept, but that's just my opinion. I would imagine that if Kuro Games goes for the more balanced power creep, then Jiyan will be the best in his field for at least until his next rerun. Yet, even if he does get crept in that time, the lad will still be my favorite 5-star in Wuthering Waves. Hopefully this video was able to get your Jiyan crushing his enemies with the might of a dragon. This has been Juice, signing out, and remember that the true Jiyans are the annoyances that we made along the way.